Once again, it's Friday, and the What It Takes Radio Company presents the Transformation Zone. That's right, we are involved in entering the Transformation Zone. And it's here, it's there, it's everywhere. Billions of dollars are spent on it every year. It's the P word, pain. And indeed, could it be, if pain were water, the world would drown? Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is Stan the Radio Man, and it's time for entering into the transformation zone. On Friday, that's where we think about what it's like to be a leader. So we think about what it's like to think about the future, which is what all leaders do. And right now, we're continuing to think about transformation. A ongoing transformation project. This is part of the zone, and it's in cooperation with Joe Pine, who is writing the book to be on transformation, because that is fundamental to what we have to be about in life today. Now, right now, we are in the midst of an election here in the United States, and who knows what will be. However, whether this is good for one or the other, it's hard to say, but 68%, it said in a recent poll, and I'm always suspicious of most polls, but I think this is true. 68% think we are in need of a transformation because we need to change the way things are. We need a big change in what's going on in our lives, in our country, maybe the world. We need to do some real big stuff. And of course, I think the candidate who can demonstrate that they are the best at doing that kind of big stuff might be the one who eventually wins. So there we are. We are in the need for transformation. Now, of course, today, this is on purpose. The seasons are in the midst of transformation. And so you see, there I am in a beautiful, wonderful scene. Unfortunately, it's real, but it's not real. Yeah. This is actually a picture that is taken from an old log cabin, legacy cabin that my family has going back 3 or 4 generations, or actually it's on my wife's side. And it's up in the beautiful lake region of Minnesota. And I took a picture of it. Just perfect. The red leaves and the sunshine coming in off the lake, and a little bit of the mist and fog coming off the water. It's beautiful. It's a transforming sense. Now, remember, I've told you that if you want to be successful in life, one of the things you have to have is you have to have a spirit place. You have to have an office where you do stuff. That's right. You have to have a study where you think, pray, meditate, read. You need to have a studio where you perform and create things. And you need a space. So I decided that I would take a picture of a wonderful spirit place in the midst of the transformation of the seasons. And that's always a good time. What is the fall? Yeah, is it the equinox or is it something else now? Is tomorrow. And we are into the autumn season and then into the winter. And those of you in the Southern Hemisphere, you are into the spring season and then eventually into the summer. So at this time, it's good to think about transformation. But this is not necessarily a happy story, happy scene today, but I think it's vital. The topic is it true that without pain, there is no gain? Now, that oftentimes is used as a metaphor for athletes, that, you got to work till it hurts. You got to work out. You got to, if you don't work hard till you're at least on the edge of pain, there won't be any gain. You've got to push yourself and your body that hard. No pain, no gain. Well, maybe there's something to that, even in a deeper sense. And let me quote and perhaps play today off a couple of people who I admire, who have been mentors to me in some ways. Dennis Prager is a longtime radio announcer. He is strongly in the Jewish tradition. In fact, he's done a lot of work, not only in his radio work, but actually in the work of teaching the Hebrew scriptures to people, not only just to Jewish people, but obviously to the worldwide audience that he has. And there's a gentleman named Richard Rohr, who is a Catholic priest Franciscan who has not had an active parish for many years, but he's been very much involved in teaching people how to live better now through undergoing deep spiritual, epiphanies and transformations so that they can live well now and perhaps forever. And so those two gentlemen have two different statements that I think might be helpful for us today. First of all, Dennis Prager has a line that struck me. Somebody was talking about, I believe it was a young woman describing what she was going through. And then he simply said this line: "If pain were water, the world would drown." If pain were water, the world would drown. Now, what does he mean by that? Well, there's all kinds of pain: physical pain, spiritual pain, emotional pain. He was trying to say is pain in our lives and in our human experience is all over. It's everywhere. Everybody. It's prevalent. If pain were water, we would drown. I was one time sharing that with a friend of mine who obviously was very much in sympathy with that idea, but she was also a person who actually had a sense of optimism about life, even though she had a variety of reasons not to. And when I quoted that line to her, then she said, "Yes, and perhaps that will help us to become better swimmers. If pain were water, the world would drown, and we with it. And maybe it will help us all become better swimmers." Well, what does it mean? What would it mean to be that you could become better swimmers in a world full of pain? I still remember one of my clients a number of years ago, and I think I've mentioned my friend Wayne before, and leader of a very, very successful business, and all of the men and women who worked with him were, were with, they were the best. They were really good. And he said, you walk around, you go down the parking lot, parking garage, and you see all kinds of beautiful cars. Most of them are employees of my company. And he said, you walk into their offices and you'll find nice offices, and you're going to see them well dressed, and they're sharp, successful people. But then he said, but remember, every last one of them is carrying a heavy burden somewhere. Every last one of them is carrying a heavy burden somewhere. When we greet each other in the hall, we say, how are you? And we say, fine. Of course, what else do you say? You really don't want them to answer, and you certainly don't want to be the person who then is on the receiving end of a pile of grief. But everybody is carrying a heavy burden. If pain were water, the world would drown. All right, now my friend Richard Rohr, he said, pain. You have pain. Pain that is not transformed will be passed on. Pain is contagious. Evil is contagious. Bad spirits are contagious. And what he is saying, and I think it's true, because he will very much say that true transformation usually comes through suffering. I've used the line a number of times. In effect, it's not just the stars you have, it might be the stripes and scars that you have. I don't trust anybody who hasn't had a few scars in their life. And if they haven't had a few whip stripes in their life, and it's the proverbial story that comes from the Hebrew scriptures where it said that Jacob, the hero of the Jewish story, wrestled with God, and the wrestling was so severe that from then on he walked with a limp. And so again, another mentor gave me a line which I use all the time, which is, don't trust a man or woman without a limp, who's gone through some difficulty. I'm thinking of a wonderful young woman right now who's really on the cusp of some strong success. Part of the problem is she is very privileged. She's bright, she's smart, she's good looking, and she's been raised kind of as a favorite daughter. And she has a little bit of a prima donna streak to her. She just does. Well, she's got it going. She's there. And I know she'll be successful, but the point is, will it be necessary as she matures? And perhaps leaves her, terrific 30s and begins to go into the 40s, that at some time in her life she's going to have to go through the fire and be refined. It could be that great success, transformation only comes through a great love, as Richard Rohr would say. You're overwhelmed by a great love, or you are survived a great suffering. All right, there we are, my friends, for this Friday. I think it's just something to think about. Much of our transformation talk is about people who changed and heroically changed everything, and they're going to live happily ever after. But of course, that's not necessarily true, but they're going to live really well. It's about happy endings, about things going well. Sure it is. But sometimes transformation is more than that. And I particularly know, I've seen it happen. If your pain is not transformed, you know what? The sins of the father and mother will be visited upon their children. What will happen is the pain will be passed on to someone else. And right now, we're living in a world, and we always have been, in which a lot of painful things have not been transforming, but they've been passed on and passed on and passed on. Is it part of our mission to make sure that at least in our own lives, we are breaking the cycle? And that truly could be a significant step, not only in your own transformation, but maybe even transforming a bit of the world. In fact, it may even help transform your world. And who knows, it might even help create a bit of a different world, a transformed world. Could it be? Just let that sit on your head for a while, maybe stir your spirit, touch your heart, then talk to me. StanHouston@gmail.com, StanHouston@gmail.com. Yeah, and I'm experimenting with some new glasses. I don't know if I like them, but I'm experimenting with them. Maybe they'll transform my looks in some way. I'm sure you have an opinion. Maybe let me know. StanHouston@gmail.com, StanHouston@gmail.com. All the best and blessings to you. Be transformed starting now. And bye for now.